welcome back to my channel. So today's video is actually going to be a tea and talk video. So I haven't done one of these on my channel before, but I just wanted to give a bit of an update on things that have been going on in my life recently. So I thought, why not do it in the best way possible? Grab a cup of tea, and I hope you guys have got a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever ready as well. And let's just feel like I'm having a chat with a friend. So I've got my tea and I'm ready to chat with my friends. Let's get this started. So since I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit just to catch you up. So since lockdown started, I think it was a real test for people's relationships, and mine and Tony's was good. We had issues in the past. I think lockdown sort of heightened a few issues that we still had that we hadn't addressed, mainly regarding how much he did about, how much his involvement was with Natalie and his involvement around the house. So yes, he went to work and he continued working all through lockdown, and he's still working now. Obviously, I was a full-time stay-at-home mum. I wasn't able to go to any baby groups. I wasn't allowed to see my friends or my family. So the only person I did see was Natalie and Tony. But the problem was, when you spend all day sitting at home with your baby, who you can't really have a conversation with because they don't really understand, it does get quite lonely, and video chatting, texting and calling isn't quite the same. But, I made the best of it. And then I think as lockdown got further and further in, and it had gone from weeks to months, it just got harder for me. So I tried to discuss these issues with Tony. We tried to work through them. We tried to make things better. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea. Personally, I just think really a lot had happened with me and Tony in the past. We've been on and off really for about 6 years. We've known each other for 6 years. We really were only friends for a few months and then got straight into a relationship. And then there've been times when we've been together for a year, and then we'd break up for a couple of weeks and then get back together, and that continued pretty much throughout our whole relationship. And then then we moved into shared housing, and that was back in the beginning of 2019. We moved into shared housing together, and then obviously I got pregnant pretty much straight away from us moving in. So we lived there for a while. We then moved here, and we've lived here for a year now. So we'd been together with no issues for a year and a half. That was the longest we'd been without having a break or breaking up or anything really. So as I say, bring you back up to date again. So yeah, we moved in here, we had Natalie, lockdown all started. Obviously everything was great when we first had Natalie. He was really supportive, he was really helpful, and he was lovely, he was great. And then it just got less and less that he would do stuff because I was recovering. I didn't need him to do as much for me. And then lockdown made it a lot worse, made it more apparent of the things that I wasn't happy with. So as I say, we tried to talk and discuss those issues, and for a little while things got better. But then it's one of those things, old habits die hard, and Tony always went back into his old ways. And now I had Natalie to think about, and I didn't want her to see me miserable all the time. I didn't want her, as she got older, for her to actually be asking me, "Mummy, why are you sad?" or "Mummy, why are you so miserable?" I didn't want my daughter asking me that. I wanted her to always see me as happy and strong. So unfortunately I had to have a hard conversation with Tony, and we decided that as a mutual decision it would be better to split up, because neither of us were happy. Natalie was slowly picking up on the tension, and she wasn't sleeping as well. She was crying and being a lot more moody, and that wasn't good for her to be sort of picking up on all of this stress. And me being stressed reflected in my mothering of her, so I'd let her have a lot more independent play rather than interacting and playing with her. I'd still do all of the normal care, I just wouldn't go that little extra mile to actually read with her or play with her. I'd let her have a lot more independent play, which wasn't good. So then this was the end of June, the end of June we broke up, and he moved out and lived with a friend for a week. His dad wouldn't let him move back in there, and he couldn't stay at his friend's long term, so I decided to have him back here temporarily for a couple of weeks until he found somewhere else. Unfortunately, temporarily turned into 6 weeks, nearly 7. He finally moved out on Wednesday, which was last Wednesday he moved out. So he finally moved out on the 19th of August. So he'd been here for quite a while. Oh, sorry, I needed a tea. So he'd been here for quite a while, and then he finally moved out, which is now quite a scary thing to realise that I am a single mum now. Although yes, Tony is still in the picture and he still helps out with Natalie. He'll have Natalie now once a week overnight, and he'll come and see her and put her to bed at mine twice a week. So it's not ideal how things have worked out, because I didn't want Natalie to have her mum and dad not together. I wanted her to have the big happy family unit, because I didn't have that growing up, so I wanted that for her. So I wanted that for her, but then the more I thought about it, I realised that she doesn't have a happy family home. Yes, she has the family unit of a mother and a father living together, but it's not a happy home. And the more I thought about that, I realised that it is better to have 2 happy homes than 1 miserable home, because I was 14 when my mum and dad separated, and it affected me quite a lot because I was at that age where I understood everything and a lot was going on. Obviously I was going through puberty, and that's never a fun time for anyone, but then to add the fact my mum and dad were separating, I'd lost both of my grandparents, a lot was going on for me, so I think I dealt with it not the best, and obviously I was at that age where I understood everything. So in a way I am happier that it happened now, where she's so young, she's not really going to know any different. But I do still feel bad that I wasn't able to make it work. But then sometimes I think people just aren't compatible in a relationship, and that was me and Tony. We just aren't compatible in a relationship. We're 2 completely different people, and we have completely different personalities. So he's very lazy, laid back, and goes with the flow, spontaneous. I'm very organised. Things have to be done when I want them to be done, and things have to be my way or no way, and I'm very stubborn with that. And I think that was quite a big problem with me and Tony, was that I was very stubborn and set in my ways, so he didn't see the point of fighting for me, and I think that inevitably was the reason our relationship just broke down. He wasn't willing to change these little things. He wasn't willing to fight for the relationship. He wasn't willing to fight for me, and that's quite sad to look back on. that's quite sad to look back on and quite sad to realise. But then I also have to think, would I have wanted to spend the next 10, 20 or 30 years being in a miserable relationship where he's not going to fight for me and he's not going to fight for our relationship and he's just going to be so laid back, he just goes with the flow? No, I didn't want that. I think he deserves to be with someone who is going to accept him the way he is, and I need someone to accept me for the way I am. We all deserve to be happy, and at the moment the problem is, out of the three of us, me, Tony and Natalie, we all want each other to be happy, but the only person who is happy is Natalie, because she's a baby, she doesn't know what's going on, and she's a very happy baby. And I'm trying to get happier, so when I'm around her I am very happy. So when it's just me and her, I'm very happy. But when she has naps or goes to bed, that's sort of when the loneliness sets in for me. So if I'm around people, I am very happy, but the minute I'm sort of on my own, mainly at night time, is when I do feel quite lonely and I feel quite emotional. And I think it's because of the weird fact of, I managed without Tony for a week and I was quite happy. I had a couple of little down times, but I was relatively happy. And then he came back and he'd been here for 6 weeks and now he's left again. It's like I'm starting from scratch all over again. And I think that's what makes it the hardest for me, is that I am starting from scratch again. But then I also think I'm 23, I'm young, fairly attractive, I'd like to think, even with my ginger hair. I haven't touched on that because I'm just ignoring it, to be honest. I was red, I'm trying to go back like a brownie blonde, so I'm trying to fade it and I've gone ginger. We've tapped on it now, we'll leave it at that. But that's the thing, I just need to pick myself up, and in a weird way it's better to think of the bad times than the good times, because although me and Tony did have really, we had some really good times, and we've got this beautiful amazing little girl out of everything, it wasn't a waste of 6 years. It taught me a lot, and like I say, I got the best thing I could have ever asked for, was to become a mum, and he made me a mum. So I'm always going to love him for that, but unfortunately I'm just not in love with him, and we've just decided it's not right to stay together just for Natalie's sake. It's better to do it now when she's still young and she's not going to know any different, because I don't want it to be like me and have realised everything and know why my parents broke up and know who did what that was wrong. I don't want that for her. I want her to love me and love Tony as she knows us. And it's that thing of, we now have to take it day by day. And if things happen, we will address them when things happen. So regarding if one of us ever wanted to move out of Nuneaton, if one of us gets in a relationship, it's things like that we will address as and when they need to be addressed. But at the end of the day, that is my big thing, what's happened lately. I have become a single mum. It wasn't a big dramatic story of how I became a single mum. It was just that, unfortunately, my relationship wasn't great anyway. Lockdown tested us. We failed. But it is what it is. I've come to accept it. And I'm just trying to look up, look to the future for me and my beautiful little girl. So I'm sorry that this wasn't a big dramatic story, if that's what you were looking for. Sorry, but I hope maybe it's helped a few other people out there who have recently become single mums, or maybe have always been a single mum, or who aren't happy in their relationship. I don't know. I just hope that it might have helped people. If not, and it hasn't helped anyone, I hope you just enjoyed hearing my story today. And if you like me doing these little tea and talk videos, let me know in the comments and I'll do more in the future. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!